Hey, everybody, what's happening? So good to see you. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm coming to you live from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heartland of America. From the heartland to your heart, at least that is the hope. Brought to you, ladies and gentlemen, by Stem Light Stem Cells, umbilical stem cells, speed healing time, repair osteoarthritic joints, reduce need for pain medications, increase collagen production, and even generates new heart and blood vessel tissues. Partners with the National Football League Alumni Association. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, hit the Stem Light logo, and find out all you can to get a special discount for working with me, the Christian Whistleblower, and the emotional meatball, Rocky Stucci. Stem Light, this first part of the show, brought to you by those great folks, changing the world one person at a time, working with kids, disabled veterans, and people just like you. Folks, I was 11 years old when I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. 11 years old. That was 45 years ago. Wow. I accepted Jesus longer ago than most of you are alive. And you see that picture of Jesus looking over my shoulder, right? And it's taken me 45 years, over 100,000 hours of study to finally figure out who Jesus is. And after 45 years, I finally know who Jesus is. Rocky's just put the stemlightcenter.com code word HEAL into the chat room. And that's how you get the best offer and work with us. So 45 years. So I know some of you are going to say I'm stupid. I know some of you are going to say I'm crazy. I know some of you are going to say that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I've been doing this for 45 years. I've been doing this over 100,000 hours. And my give a damn broke long ago, which means I don't have any doctrines to defend. So the bottom line, folks, and I know this sounds egotistical, but I'm trying not to be egotistical. I'm better at this than you are. I've been doing it longer than you have. I've been trained to do it. You haven't. And I don't have any prejudices in it. So I'm going to show you tonight and confirm to you tonight who Jesus is. And there's no doubt that this is who he is. There's no wonder if this is who he is. This is who Jesus is. Now, you can believe me or you cannot believe me. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is who Jesus is. Let's get right on it. Let's go to Mark chapter 14. And you're going to see less and less of this because we're moving on to top shelf radio. We're moving to things higher. We're moving to things more important. And we're moving to things to get ourselves, we've spent 5 years unlearning. Now it's time for us to start learning and growing and developing. Mark chapter 14. And I want to show you stuff. This is interesting. So this is where they're going to Gethsemane. So it's Jesus and the apostles. They're going to the Garden of Gethsemane. And Jesus says, hey, you guys hang out here. I'm going to go over here. So Jesus goes on a little bit further. They all go to sleep. And they're sleeping. The 12 are sleeping in one little group. And then Jesus is over here. And is he sleeping? I don't know. But see, they're sleeping again. I don't know. But Jesus gets up. He goes back over there. And all of a sudden, here comes these dudes. They want to grab Jesus and they want to take him away. But here's where it gets really interesting. Here's where we find out who Jesus is, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, the disciples are crashed. Jesus has gone on. Is he crashed or not? Well, he had somebody with him, and that other person was crashed. Jesus wakes up, and then all hell breaks loose. And here's, ladies and gentlemen, what happens. And notice it's the text, ladies and gentlemen. And these words mean what they mean, and the text doesn't care what you think, and frankly, neither do I. You can believe me, or you can believe me not. It's like I'm the mailman. I'm bringing you a bill. You can throw it in the trash, but they'll still turn your lights off if you don't pay it. Same thing here, only different. The bills come due, cousin. Here it is. And following him, following Jesus, there was a certain young man having a linen cloth cast about his naked body. The young man laid hold on him, and they left the linen cloth and fled. So young dude grabbed by soldiers, and he runs away naked. So let's take a look at this deeply. And we do have a 9:00 show with Ken Schwartz, The Last Stand. So we're going to get this done. And we may have to go right into that. I don't think so, but we'll go right into that. So let's watch and let's see exactly what's happening. Now, again, you've got to put away your confirmation bias. You've got to put away what you think you know, and you've got to look at this with an open mind, as Jesus behind me is looking like an open mind. Jeff, that's not Jesus. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, most of you know less. Most of you thinking that's Jesus when it's really Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's a joke, but it's also oh, damn. We've been thinking that it was Jesus a long time, and it's just a fictional character. What? Ooh. Anyway, here we go. So put away what you think and let the text speak to you if it's possible. And if it's not, well, then go back and watch somebody tell you some more fairy tales. Okay, so there's a young man, ladies and gentlemen. There was a young man. What is this young man? He's a youth. There was a youth, ladies and gentlemen, who had been following Jesus. It had been some time. He'd been seen with Jesus often. He'd been around Jesus a lot. Remember Jesus said, suffer the little children, let them come unto me. Just saying. So this guy had been with Jesus a lot, and he was a youth, and he had been following Jesus. What does that mean? He'd been along with Jesus. He'd been accompanying Jesus, and he'd been together with Jesus. And it wasn't a new thing. He had been following Jesus. He had been accompanying Jesus. He had been hanging out with Jesus. He had been walking around with Jesus. Why is a youth walking around with Jesus? Just asking that question. And I want you to notice it says he was wearing a linen cloth around his body. But wait a second. It just said back here that he wasn't wearing a linen cloth, but he what did he do back here in the King James? He cast a linen cloth about his naked body. Now, this is one of the very few times where you can see the King James closer to the original than the more modern translation, because watch what it means. Youth been hanging out with Jesus for some time, and he cast a cloth about his naked body. What does that really mean, ladies and gentlemen? In the Greek, what really happened? This youth that had been following Jesus for some time, accompanying Jesus, had been with Jesus, had been seen with Jesus for a long time. What did he do? He threw around himself. He put on. Look at those words. He threw around himself. He put on. He threw around himself. He put on. What did he put on? He put on a linen cloth around his what? He put on a linen cloth, a fine linen cloth. Jesus was wearing a fine linen cloth. Was this the fine linen cloth that they divided at the crucifixion? Anyway, and he put it around, he wrapped it around what? He wrapped it around his naked body. Youth was with Jesus, been with him for some time. He was naked. The people run up. Dude's naked. And then he puts a linen cloth around his body. And if it was Jesus's linen cloth, was Jesus naked? Ooh. But the point is, why the hell is Jesus in the company of a naked youth that had been with him for some time? Zaz, Oz, if you don't like it, get the hell out of here. Bye. I'm done with these people. I feel better. This is serious stuff. This is for you, Zoaz. Jesus was with a youth who was naked. Wow. And then watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes these things are set up to give us clues and to show us things that we wouldn't see other ways. And then he pulled free. They grabbed a hold of the kid, but the kid pulled free and ran away naked. And if he was wearing Jesus's linen, fine linen, then they were both standing there naked. But anyway, all we know is the kid was naked. and Jesus was with them and probably sleeping or in the bed. Do you remember the verse? There will be two men in one bed. One will be taken and one will be left. They took Jesus and the other one got away. I'm just saying. But watch this. They pulled free and he ran away naked. Now they show these cross references down here. And there's scriptures that align with the scriptures that we just read. And look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This might be disclosure right here. Watch this. He left the linen cloth and fled away from them naked. And the reference verse they give is, when you see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not be, let him that reads understand, then flee and run away from it. This is a weird verse. It shows that it's weird. You got to listen to this one. You got to figure this one out. But why is abomination of desolation connected to, oh shit, I'm not showing you this. Sorry. Damn it. I hate it when I do that. Watch this. This is disclosure. Here's our verse right here. He pulled free and ran away naked. It shows you he pulled free and ran away naked. Then it gives you abomination of desolation verse. Weird. Abomination of desolation. What's an abomination of desolation related to? Oh shit. A naked kid, Jesus with a naked boy. Abomination of desolation. Let's see what abomination of desolation means. Abomination. It means a detestable thing. Desolation. It means making desolate, devastating. Does child sexual abuse devastate lives? Yes. Is it a devastating thing to find out that the guy that you think is Jesus was doing the deed too? Yeah, that's devastation. And he was standing where he should not be. Let me show you something, ladies and gentlemen. But let me show you something else first. It was the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Let me show you Daniel for a minute. Remember, we're in Mark 13, or we're in Mark 14, actually, aren't we? We're in Mark. We want to be in Mark 14, yeah. So abomination of desolation. We're going to go to Daniel. And I want you to notice something. It is without a doubt referring to Jesus lying with a naked child. That's the abomination of desolation. Watch this. Daniel chapter 12. Watch this. I'm so free finally after 45 years. Watch this. Daniel 12, verse number 11. Watch this. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away. When did the daily sacrifice get taken away? The daily sacrifice got taken away when Jesus walked into the temple, overturned the tables, and told them to quit selling doves and stuff there. Jesus allegedly in this story stopped the abomination of desolation. And he supposedly did that very early in his ministry. And guess what? From the time that happened to this abomination of desolation is 1,290 days. Do the math. 3.5 years. All of you Bible scholars out there, how long was Jesus' ministry on the earth? 3.5 years is what we're taught. So Jesus shows up, stops the abomination of desolation, or stops the daily sacrifice. And then about 3.5 years later, when he's ready to be crucified, comes the abomination of desolation. And the abomination of desolation is linked by these Bible scholars, not by me. The abomination of desolation is linked by these other Bible scholars to this verse about Jesus and a naked kid. The abomination of desolation matches up exactly with the life of Jesus, and then it is exactly pointed to by Bible scholars in this verse with the naked boy being around Jesus. There it is right there. I'm not making it up. But wait, there's more. Because see this where he was standing? It's very important. Daniel used the word standing. And you know why? Because John the Apostle, and I'm going to read to you just a little bit from Final Message of the Last Apostle, my book, because it's all written here. And I don't have to search it through and make you get vertigo by watching it. Check this out. 1 John 4:3 says, every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God, and it's a spirit of Antichrist. The word confess is in the Strong's Concordance, word number 3670. It means to come confess, to proclaim. And the word is come means arrived, and the word for arrived is in the flesh. In the flesh. Why is that so important, ladies and gentlemen? Because in the flesh means, in the Greek, standing and walking as a full-grown man. Standing and walking as a full-grown man. Daniel specifically said standing. John said Jesus came not as a baby in Bethlehem. He came full-grown, standing. He came full-grown, standing, went into the temple, stopped the sacrifice, and then 3.5 years later was naked with a young man committing the abomination of desolation. Jesus is the abomination of desolation. Whoops, let me show you that. I didn't show you. Let me complete that loop for you. John said that Jesus came as a full-grown man, standing as a full-grown man. Daniel said that when he was standing as the abomination of desolation, which happened 1,290 days or 3.5 years after he stopped the sacrifice, and he was caught naked with a young boy. Jesus is the abomination. And if you read Joseph Atwell's book, you can show that he proves it secularly, historically, that Jesus was created by Rome. I'm showing it to you textually that Jesus was never a real person. He was created by Rome, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to read to you just real quickly from my notes so I make sure I get it right. Objective empirical history shows that there was never a real Jesus. He is a Roman invention. The Romans, read Joseph Atwell's book, Caesar's Messiah. He's coming on in a few days to talk about his second book, Shakespeare's Secret Messiah. Read it. Jesus was invented by the Romans. And even if you don't believe it historically, the New Testament was written in Roman-occupied Jerusalem. Every word that was written was read, edited, vetted, and approved by the Roman censors. That's where we get the word censorship. Jesus is a Roman invention created in a land that they owned and had complete control of, and popularized and immortalized in a book that they, for all intents and purposes, authored. Rome authored the New Testament. The religion based upon this book holds child sexual abuse and sacrifice as a sacrament. It's not a few rogue priests. It's not a few rogue pastors. Ritual child sexual abuse is a sacrament of the church. That's why they've never done anything about it. That's why they never will until we burn the place down. And I don't mean that literally. And let me show you something else, ladies and gentlemen. This religion has invented a Jesus to head up the fear and guilt control matrix to convince you that you're filled with original sin, need salvation, and he's the only savior. And they've also created a Jesus that did the same things that they do now so they can find validation for their monstrous acts. Luke said that when you see the abomination of desolation standing where it ought not be, that was the Roman army. It's another clue. It's Roman. And let me show you something else that puts the nail in the final nail in the coffin, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. And it doesn't matter who wrote it. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. And let's go to chapter number 4. And we're going to read a couple of verses here, 15 and 16. We're going to go through them like I always do, real quickly. For we don't have a high priest, speaking of Jesus, which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but he was in all ways tempted, just like we are, without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and to find grace in the time of need. I got to show you a couple things. Whenever you see italicized words in the King James, you want to think they are emphasized, but they're not. They're added. Those are the ones they admit that they added. So seeing then that we have a great high priest who's passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast profession. Let us keep doing what we do. For we don't have a high priest. Somebody was feeling guilty, and I'm going to show you this in the Greek. For we don't have a high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities. Look, he did the same things we're doing. He's did the same things that you don't want to do. But in all points, he's been tempted. As all points tempted, just like we are. But it's without sin. This screwing, boys, it's not sinful. Jesus did it. It's part of the sacraments. We have to do it. We're helping these kids. Therefore, let us come boldly to the throne of grace. And if you think I'm wrong, let me show you what the text means. And again, the text doesn't give a damn what you think. Therefore, since we have such a great high priest passed into the heavens, let us hold firmly. Let us be strong. Let us keep hold of that which we profess. What's the profess? Our agreements, our confessions, our professions. Let us keep doing what we've always done. Let us keep performing. Isn't it interesting that the word is homo, logia? Sometimes, thank you, illimitable ones. How could it possibly be homo? I'm trying to show you that they're homos to the end. And the word's homologia. If you can't see the homo logic, then you don't want to. If you can't see this truth, you don't want to see the truth. The collective agreements of Christians as to what God loves and the courage to proclaim it. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus did the same things we are doing. We can't stop screwing boys. Jesus screwed boys. We can't stop buggering children. Jesus buggered children. It's part of our religion. We're helping these kids, and we got to keep doing it. That's what the text says. What time is it? I need to make sure I don't leave Ken hanging. Okay, we're good. We got an hour. For we don't have a high priest who's unable to sympathize. We don't have a fellow who can't feel our problem. We don't have a fellow who can't have compassion on us. They're saying we don't have a high priest who wants to put a piece of lead behind our ear because we're screwing little boys. I do. Oh, shit, I'm not showing you again. Sorry. So here it is, the great high priest passed through them. Hold firmly to what we profess. Keep doing what we're doing. Because he sympathizes with us. He sympathizes with us. With what? With our weaknesses, with our frailties. Yeah, we know that we probably shouldn't be poking boys in the butt, but it's a weakness, and he sympathizes. After all, remember, they caught him with a naked boy. Because remember, he was tempted in every way that we are. Jesus was tempted and tested in every way that we are. He's just like us. He felt the same way we did. And he was without sin. So if he did what we did and was without sin, then We're without sin. So therefore, let us come boldly to the throne of grace. Let us be confident. We're going to get mercy. We're going to get grace in our time of need. And these people are too damn indoctrinated and too damn stupid and too damn stubborn to ever call us on our bullshit. So we'll just keep doing it, and they'll keep paying, and they'll keep showing up because they don't have the guts to look themselves in the mirror and realizing they're supporting child rape and child sacrifice, and they'll keep doing it, and we'll keep getting paid, and everything is still good. We get paid and we get laid because these people don't have any strength. They don't have any courage of conviction. They won't dare do anything. We got them so Jesused up for 2,000 years. They're so deep in the fear and guilt control matrix, they'll let us do anything. Some crazy, funny looking haired guy, ex-Pentecostal evangelist, will come and show them what we're doing, and they will attack him while we bend another boy over. Jesus isn't real. Christianity is a fear and guilt control matrix, and you will never get out of this matrix until you get rid of Jesus 100%. As long as you keep Jesus in your heart, in your mind, in your life, not only are you supporting child rapists, not only are you guilty by implication, you're never getting out of here. You're coming back again and again and again and again. After 45 years, I know who Jesus is. He is an invention by the Romans to head up a fear and guilt control matrix. And he is an invention by Roman religion to justify the most foul, despicable deeds they do. And they don't just do it for fun. They do it for the black magic, the juju, and the ability to rule the world. If you don't think that Jesus is in control of the government, how come the government prays every time they start a meeting? If you don't think Jesus is in control of the government, then how come in the government houses it says, "In God we trust"? If you don't think Jesus is in charge of the school system, why are there 10 commandments on the walls? If you don't think Jesus is in charge of the money system, why is it saying, "God we trust"? That God is Jesus. He's made up, and he allows them to rule governmentally, financially, and religiously, and he allows them to rule your dumbasses because you don't have the balls to stand up and realize that you've been played, and you prefer your pride and your comfort to the lives and the torture of innocent children, and you'll get what you deserve. After 45 years, I finally know who Jesus is. And after 45 years, I'm finally free. On August 26th, 2019, I'm finally free of the Jesus virus. It's gone. It's gone. It's over. And I know that is Obi-Wan Kenobi, not Jesus. But you're so damn stupid that you don't know that the Jesus that you've been taught to believe and still believe is just as fake as this Joker right here. He's a fictional character, except this guy is a hero, and your Jesus is a monster and a empowerer of monsters. He's a god of monsters and idiots. Some of you are monsters and some of you are idiots. That's all I got. After 45 years, I know who Jesus is. And so do you. And so do you. And when you have studied as much as I have and have studied as long as I have, then come and say something to me. I don't want to hear your opinions. I don't want to hear your mouth unless you're ready to sit down in real scholarly debate and go to the text and the history. Otherwise, don't waste my time or your breath. Whew. What time is it? It is 8 o'clock. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Somebody want to know, what does Christian Whistleblower mean? I think you know now. I think you know. Let's see. We'll read a little bit. We'll see if there's any questions that I can actually answer here real quickly. Let me just look real quickly. My childhood friend, age 12, committed suicide over abuse from a parish priest. All they did was transfer him. Monsters and men. Everything we seek is within us. Absolutely. Oh, Crystal MacArthur, brilliant. You know why demons have to obey the name of Jesus? Because he's the God they set up to rule this world. He's the boss. He's the head demon. Do you realize that pedophilia goes all the way back to Jesus? Jesus was a pedophile. Jesus buggered little boys, and it's in the Bible. There's really not much else to talk about here. At 9 o'clock, those of you that are still subscribed, we're going to have Ken Schwartz, very interesting fellow. And we've got a banging week coming up. Let me just refer and tell you who we've got coming up. We have got some great stuff. Tonight, of course, as I said, Ken on The Last Stand. That'll be at 9 p.m. Central Time, just about an hour from now. And let me pull up my calendar. And then tomorrow, I have at 1 p.m. Terrell Blackstar. If you know anything about YouTube, you know who he is. And then Wednesday at noon, we've got Randy Kramer from Gaia talking about, I'm going to start promoting that one hard tomorrow. Great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You'll definitely want to be a part of that. So tonight, Ken Schwartz at 9 p.m. Tomorrow, Terrell Blackstar. And then Wednesday, Randy Kramer. And we are going, we are growing, we are rocking, we are rolling, wall to wall, treetop tall, top shelf radio. We're through playing. We are tearing down this fear and guilt control matrix. We showed you that the book of Enoch is written about buggering babies and how to cover it up. We've shown you that the Essenes were made up, and they originated probably this buggering of babies, at least in the Judeo-Christian terms. And now we've seen that even Jesus himself laid around naked with boys. Maybe that doesn't bother you, but it bothers the hell out of me. Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm the mailman. I bring you the mail. And I say I bring you bills, you hate me. I bring you checks, you love me. But if you throw the bills in the trash, that doesn't mean you get to forget about them. The bills still got to be paid, sweetheart. Sooner or later, this is a bill you're going to pay. Take it from me, the mailman, Jeffrey Daugherty. To the rest of you, we're the last generation of real humans. And there's very few of us that aren't crazy, and fewer still that aren't lazy. That's why we've got to get busy. But cousin, together, I think we've got what it takes to get this job done. If you're with me, last generation of real humans, let's get busy.